Good morning. I'm so glad that you're here with us. I'm sorry that you missed us last week. We had to take a little bit of a break, but we are back and we're actually sharing some of our favorite stories with you in the next few weeks. Kelly and I have gotten together and I'm really excited about this. So this morning, let's start with one of our favorite songs that we did at the beginning, because the story today is going to talk about how our God is so big. So let's sing. Are you ready? My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. The mountains are His, the valleys are His, the sea is His handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do for you. All right, good job, guys. So this morning, before we go to Miss Kelly, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been afraid of anything? Like maybe the dark? Yeah, sometimes that can be a little scary. What about the ocean or water? Sometimes that's really scary, right? What about heights? Have you ever been up somewhere like really high and looked down? That can be really scary too. Ooh, what about big cats? Like cheetahs and lions? Or what about reptiles? Do you know anybody that's afraid of turtles and snakes? Yeah, I do. Well, this morning, we're going to be introduced to a new character. It's someone that you probably know about. In fact, I'm going to teach you a very short song about him right now, but he was so brave because he knew that God was on his side. All right, so let's learn this new song. Are you ready? Dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to have a purpose firm and dare to make it known. It's that simple, okay? Daniel chose to stand alone in his beliefs. He chose to stand on what God said, and you're going to learn all about it this morning, and I'm really excited. So let's learn these 4 sentences again. Dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to have a purpose firm, and dare to make it known. See, Daniel just did what he always did. You're going to learn all about it this morning. But he loved God, and what he was doing was always for God. So one more time, because I want all of you to dare to be a Daniel. Are you ready? Dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to have a purpose firm, and dare to make it known. All right, let's go learn our story, and then we're going to come back and talk about our craft. See y'all later.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great morning so far. I'm glad you're back with us today. We are going to start learning about some of the really kind of large characters in the Old Testament, the ones that we might have heard about before, or the ones that have these really important stories that we're going to kind of rewind and review and go back and kind of pull some lessons from them, even though we might have heard them before. These characters are really very important to us, that we can learn from them and their relationship with God and the choices that they made. So today we are going to talk about one of my most favorite characters. I have a lot of favorites, but this one is one of the ones, and his name is Daniel. Say his name with me. Daniel. Now, Daniel has an entire book in the Old Testament that is about his life and the times that he lived in. And so Daniel was a faithful servant of God. What was his name? Daniel. I really want you to remember that, okay? So Daniel was living in a time where a lot of people didn't want to follow God, and a lot of people worshipped gods that were not true. They were fake gods. Remember how we talked about Baal being a fake god? And so a lot of times people are not worshiping the true God. But Daniel had been very faithful to God, and he had been faithful to the king. He worked in service to the king, and the king really loved him. His name was King Darius. Say his name with me. King Darius. So Daniel worked for the king, and the king really respected him. But there were other people who worked for King Darius, and they were not faithful to God, and they did not appreciate Daniel, and they wanted to try to trick Daniel and the king. And so what they did was that they got the king to sign a decree, like a law, that said it would be illegal, it would be wrong for anyone to pray to God for 30 days. Now, they knew that Daniel was going to pray to God. And so the king signed the law that said no one could pray to the true God. But Daniel said he was not afraid, and he continued to pray to God 3 times a day. And so he knew that it was more important to follow what God wanted than the laws of man. And so he continued to pray 3 times a day. So the other men that worked for the king, they went to the king and said, see, didn't you say that anyone who prayed to God would be breaking the law? Well, Darius said, you're right, I did say that. But Daniel was his friend. And so he had to throw Daniel into the den of lions. Real live lions were in this cave type place. And Daniel was going to be thrown in there with the lions. The king was sad. He did not want to hurt his friend, but he had signed that law. And so one day they threw Daniel into the lion's den. And the king was so upset that night. He didn't eat, he didn't drink. He was waiting to see if God would protect Daniel in that lion's den. And so the very next morning, the king had them remove the stone from the opening of the den to see if Daniel was safe. And so he called out to Daniel and he said, Daniel, has your God saved you from these lions? And Daniel said, the living God had protected him. Now, after that day, after Daniel was saved by God from the lions, the king, King Darius, said that everyone was to worship the true God that had saved Daniel. Now, what an incredible story. Because I don't know if you have seen lions in real life, like at a zoo, or some of you might have even gone on some sort of like safari, or if you've seen them on TV, you know how strong and powerful and fierce lions are. And so God sent an angel to close the mouths of the lions so that they did not destroy or eat Daniel. Daniel had faith in God to go boldly into that lion's den, believing that God would save him. And so our memory verse comes from Daniel chapter 6 and verse 23. Daniel 6:23. Now we're only going to do that second part. There's two parts of that verse. Our memory verse is going to be the second part of that verse. And it says, and when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him because he had trusted in his God. Let's say that one more time. Daniel chapter 6 and verse 23, in the second part of that, it says, and when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him because he had trusted in his God. Now, we've talked a lot about people in the Old Testament trusting God. Daniel is one of those people. He believed that God was going to take care of him, and he did. And because of what Daniel did, because of Daniel's faith in God, now all of the other people were going to worship the true God as well. So Daniel had an impact on the faith of all of the people in the kingdom. It's pretty incredible. So our faith should be strong, and we should always believe and know that God is going to protect us. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.
All right, I'm back. I hope y'all loved learning about Daniel. He was so brave, and all he was doing was obeying God. And sometimes people don't like when we obey God, but if our heart's right, God is always on our side, and he's going to help us just like he did Daniel. Okay, now this week, I am going to challenge you. Now, as I'm talking, you're going to see some pictures of lions that I've made in the past for some of my students, okay? And I want you this week to make me a lion. You can draw it, you can build it out of Legos, you can make some like the ones that I'm showing you out of paper plates. You can use construction paper or string. I want you to make me and Miss Kelly a lion, okay? I'm sure you're gonna do a really, really good job at it. And I want your mom or your dad to send us some pictures. They can send them to our actual phone. They can send them to the Spanish Fort Church of Christ Facebook, whatever you want. I want to challenge you to be really creative this week, okay? Make it out of Play-Doh. Do whatever it is that you want, but I want to see your lions, okay? Can you do that for me? I bet you can. So I want to see all of your artistic abilities. And again, next week, I'll try to post a few of them. Would y'all like that? I'll try to do that at the very beginning so that you can see your artwork. All right, see you next week.